Welcome to What the Flick, everybody. Alonso Duralde, Christy Lemire, Ben Mankiewicz. A big movie this week.
Huge.
Just so big, we're only doing one.
We're only doing one, and it's being projected in 70 millimeter.
Yeah.
In select theaters.
In select theaters, that's how big it is.
Paul Thomas Anderson's the master. Before you describe it, tell everybody what that means, why it's significant that it's being projected in 70 millimeters.
It's more vibrant, it's more like textural, it's bigger.
Yeah, I guess the increased space on the film allows for more nuance of shadow and detail. You know, there's a finer grain, I guess. I'm not a technician on this stuff, but it's the first film to be shot in Super 65 since Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet.
And that was 1996 or something like that?
Yeah. And before that, there had been, like, I think, Far and Away, and there only a couple of films even in the 90s were using it. It's kind of a disappearing medium, and like film itself, frankly, because everything's going digital now. So it's kind of a cool throwback that he sort of embraced this format to really tell this story.
Yes, like Lawrence of Arabia, right?
I'm not familiar with Lawrence of Arabia.
But that's something that was in, like, you know, it's shot in 65 but projected in 70. But it could be
Is that a foreign film, Lawrence of Arabia?
It takes place in Arabia.
Okay, all right. We don't like Lawrence of Arabia here at anything associated with the Young Turks, obviously, because of its anti-Turkish slant. Okay, describe them.
It's touchy. Okay, so Joaquin Phoenix plays this World War II veteran. He is kind of drunk and wayward, but probably was screwed up prior to going away to fight in the war anyway. He goes from job to job, gets into a lot of trouble, stumbles upon a very charismatic cult leader played by Seymour Hoffman, becomes his protege and son figure, and sort of go through one another's lives and affect one another in gorgeously photographed ways. Take a look.
How'd I get down here?
You're acting aggressive because you drank too much alcohol.
What do you do?
I am a writer, a doctor, a nuclear physicist, a theoretical philosopher. But above all, I am a man.
I find it hilarious that you refer to the Joaquin Phoenix character as kinda drunk.
Yeah.
Like, this guy
Did I say kinda?
This guy
It's just a word I like a
drinks
lot.
paint thinner.
Right,
Yeah.
but he makes his own. He's an artisan.
He makes his hooch out of, like, industrial alcohol and Lysol and, you know, photographic developing chemicals. This is not like a mild tippler. This guy is a serious hardcore alcoholic.
Sometimes he's sober.
Yeah, sometimes he's sober. Like, he drank, what was that? Was it mouthwash that he drank there?
No, that was Lysol.
That was Lysol. Yeah, he drank Lysol and then just replaced it with some water. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I have to say that I love Paul Thomas Anderson. I always have. I love everything he's ever done. And so I walked into this with a lot of expectations, as a lot of folks will be, I'm sure. This is still not his masterpiece. There Will Be Blood was his masterpiece.
Yes.
This I love in a lot of ways. I was wowed by it visually, but not moved emotionally.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm with you on that, actually. I don't love Paul Thomas Anderson as much as you do. I love There Will Be Blood. I think it's a great film. It's the first film of his that I think I was 100% down with.
He didn't love Magnolia.
No, I liked Magnolia. There were things about it that worked for me, and others that I thought were kind of indulgent. But this one, yeah, I definitely went in with higher expectations coming off of There Will Be Blood. And I think the craftsmanship is top notch. I mean, it looks great. The score by Johnny Greenwood is great. The performances are so wonderful. Jack Fisk's production design, the cinematography, the 70 really adds so much to it, and I know there's only a few 70 theaters left in the country, but if you live anywhere near one, go see it in 70 if you can. It's really worth it.
The Arrow in Los Angeles, if you live in LA, the Arrow.
Well, it's opening here at the Landmark, actually.
Oh, is it?
But which I assume is showing it that way. I don't know.
We'll
But
find
anyway, find a theater doing 70. But yeah, emotionally, it did kind of. I felt like there are. It's almost like in my review I called it an experiment with two variables. You've got the Joaquin Phoenix character who is such a mess and such a lost soul and such a damaged person, and then you've got the cult guy who is off on his own sort of cloud cuckoo land universe and not really able to help Joaquin Phoenix's character the way he does.
But he wants to. There's like a generosity there.
And it definitely follows. You're right about the father-son dynamic. It's in the vein of There Will Be Blood and Boogie Nights, I think, even.
All of his films.
But ultimately,
Or as my father calls it, Boogie Nights.
Boogie?
Yeah.
but ultimately, yeah, it didn't. I didn't get into it the way that I wanted to. It sort of, I felt kind of at arm's distance.
Me too, and I think a lot of that is because it doesn't adhere to a really tidy 3-act structure. There's no real emotional closure, which I usually like. I'm usually a big fan of ambiguity. But here, there's just something kind of distant about it.
You like ambiguity in an end. You don't like ambiguity throughout.
Everything's ambiguous about it.
And
but I like that about it.
I thought that I did not like that about
No?
it. I thought it made it very hard to connect. I mean, I'll speak about it in much more, I think, base terms than you guys. I was bored by these people. Bored by the people, not the look. It looked great. I liked the idea. I kept having, my interest came from constantly thinking about Scientology.
And yes, we should talk about that.
The historical relevance of it was more important to me than the characters. Great performances, like individually, obviously they're both very good. They're the kind, I have no idea whether they'll be nominated, certainly the kind of performances that get people nominated. I didn't care about them as much as I kept trying to care about them.
Well, what's at stake? What's at stake here?
What do you mean?
I mean, what's at stake for Joaquin Phoenix's character? That's a problem that I had with it.
Right,
Like,
I agree. Well, that's
you could come, you could go.
I can't answer it because it's a good question.
And how is Lancaster Dodd, the Philip Seymour Hoffman character, changed by the Joaquin Phoenix character? Besides temporarily. In the grand scheme of things, I felt like he carried on in the same way that he would have had Joaquin Phoenix.
He flourished even without him.
Yeah, they clearly made their biggest leap toward the end of the movie when they're thriving in another country. Joaquin Phoenix hadn't been around, and they'd like, does he come back or not? That's a question, but I didn't.
Yeah, what's at stake is the question.
What's the big, like, to him I would be like, if I remember his family, and there's tension between members of Philip Seymour Hoffman's family and Joaquin Phoenix that seems to come and go without much explanation. But like, I would have asked of Philip Seymour Hoffman, what's the big deal with Joaquin Phoenix? Why are we so concerned about Joaquin Phoenix, whether he comes or goes?
And the movie is really more about Joaquin Phoenix than it is about the L. Ron Hubbard guy. You know, so I think they've been sort of selling this movie or talking about it in terms of like, oh, is it really about L. Ron Hubbard? Is it really about Scientology? But ultimately, it's about Joaquin Phoenix. Right. And had it just been about Joaquin Phoenix, great. And had it just been about Philip Seymour Hoffman, great. But
had it just been about Philip Seymour Hoffman, better, I think. To me, that was more interesting than a guy who you say, damaged by the war, a wayward, lost soul searching for something, but you get the clear impression before war, 1939, wayward, lost soul.
He went in damaged, definitely.
We should talk about, the juiciness of the Scientology. I mean, there definitely is a lot that is very similar to the church, down to like specific phrasing.
Yeah, things like negative emotions.
But there's something that Amy Adams, who's also amazing in this.
Terrific.
I think she might actually be the best part of this whole movie as the sort of Lady Macbeth figure
I didn't
behind
think
the
she
scenes.
had a
she was great.
significant thing to do
She
until
runs
the end.
shit.
She's the motor behind the whole
I didn't get
thing.
that until the end.
But that's what's so surprising and so great about it is that, you know, she slowly but surely reveals herself to be the brains and the muscle of the
and
operation.
they give that away early on, like when they're in New York and she says like, you know, we have to fight back, and
right.
you know,
she's dictating what he's typing.
Yeah.
But there's this thing she says.
But he wasn't listening. To me, that
no,
was
she wasn't. He's typing his own thing, and she's having a rant.
Yeah, she's ranting.
But she's definitely she's the one who's pushing him out of the world and who's going to be like, you know,
she sees
girding him against
keeping him on his path.
Enemies. Yeah.
But there's something that she says to Joaquin Phoenix toward the end. She says, "This is something you do for 1 billion years or nothing at all."
Right.
And that's not a random number because
the billion-year
Scientologists signed the billion-year
right.
contract. I mean, they're very. 1950 is the year that Dianetics came out.
Well, I mean,
there are similar things, but it's not an expose of Scientology.
But yeah,
it's not an expose of Scientology.
It doesn't rip the lid off or anything.
The way Citizen Kane wasn't an expose on William Randolph Hearst. It's a different guy, Charles Foster Kane. He owned papers in different cities. No, it was about him. This is about science. This is about that.
It is about him.
It's about him, and it's using another character to sort of tell his story. I was much more interested in Philip Seymour Hoffman, and I felt sort of dissatisfied at the end that I didn't understand that more. Why was he so charismatic? I would have liked, I guess, to have seen other people who had fallen under his spell.
Laura
what made
Dern.
him so special?
Laura Dern.
I went into her.
And the crowds in her house, they're all under his spell.
Right, but then he kept losing his temper, and then he'd lose people. Like I didn't get what the thing was that made him so great, except that first scene where he wins Joaquin Phoenix over on the boat, and he does the you know, the E-meter, what do they call it?
The process.
The auditing.
The process.
That scene is
Au-
breathtaking.
Auditing
Yeah.
and
So good.
Scientology processing to these guys.
Yeah.
No, they're nothing to do with each other. But
I'm not saying it's not inspired, but if people are going into this expecting some sort of like expose of Scientology,
no.
they will be disappointed
No,
because the
no.
movie's not about him. It's about Joaquin Phoenix.
totally agree. I just mean, but it's that story.
Sure,
Totally.
yeah,
I got you.
And the church, the cause as it's called here, it kind of emerges unscathed. Like Joaquin Phoenix is happy and thriving and at his best when he is deeply ensconced in
Yes.
this group.
And
Right.
the ending kind of suggests that he, or not maybe the ending, but the movie suggests that he gets something out of it, that he becomes a better person and like is able to deal with the problems of his past because he's been through this experience.
He's absorbed some of the philosophy.
And I was talking about that scene on the boat between Joaquin Phoenix and Philip Seymour Hoffman. That to me was the best scene of Hoffman's, where we really see sort of what power a master can have over someone. I like that quite a bit. Yeah, the thing about why it seems related, well, not seems related, the relation to Scientology that's interesting, and there's no expose, is at the end, you're going to think, these guys are bonkers, but who gives a shit? Like, I mean, it's not dangerous, and people seem better. Like, it helped, there's no question. Joaquin Phoenix was a wayward lost soul who got helped by this.
Yeah, it's a movie that I can't wholeheartedly recommend, but I think that everybody needs to see it anyway.
Right, I
and
agree.
especially if you can see it in 70. I mean, the close-ups in 70. I mean, like, there's so much face, you know,
Right,
and so many things going on in there, you know.
The back and forth in that one scene where he's giving him the informal processing.
Yeah.
It's so intense. But also just the first shot is this overhead shot of this blue-green kind of churning ocean, and it sets you on edge from the very beginning.
And Johnny Greenwood gives us these like sort of Bernard Herrmann string bits, and it's you're whoa, what am I
And
saying?
it's
here?
there's Sergio Leone close-ups too. Like, they are
In the
close up.
eyes.
They're in the eyes. It's the whole face on screen. All right, so what do you have?
I say 7.9 just for the extraordinary craftsmanship going on here.
I'm a little higher than you even. I'm 8.8 for the very same reason.
And I'm lower, but the craftsmanship is extraordinary, no question. And people should see it, and they should enter into conversations about it. But overall, we come out at 7.9, so that's a recommendation. So go see The Master.
We are totally clear.
What was
Hi.
you didn't give your score?
7.1. I'm sorry.
7.9.
7.1, 7.9 overall rating for The Master.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how it does. I mean, it'll have crazy per screen average this week.